It is an absolute pleasure to welcome author Tiffany Nicole Stallings to our series of author interviews. Welcome, Tiffany, who is based in New Jersey in the United States. And thank you so much for taking the time to share your book, Mommy Works Too Much, with UK Teachers. I absolutely love that title. As a matter of fact, it sounds very much like a complaint that's very heavy in my household. Mommy works too much. So before we get stuck into your book, Tiffany, tell us a bit more about yourself as an author. How did you come to write children's books?
Okay, again, thank you for having me. And my journey as an author began many years ago. I was a classroom elementary teacher. And I remember always being on the hunt for children's books that depicted characters that looked like my students. And at that time, it was a difficult hunt because there weren't too many books. And I remember always wanting to become an author and write my own books, but I just didn't know how. If you flash forward a few years, I left teaching and education to run my own business. And I'm sure, as you can imagine, running a business, it took many hours away from the house and away from my children. And this children's book, Mommy Works Too Much, it stemmed from my oldest daughter calling to complain, to say, "Mommy, when are you coming home? You work too much." And that line just stuck with me. And I couldn't get it out of my head. And I remember just writing it down. And that is the basis of my first book, Mommy Works Too Much. So the book, The Adventures of Gigi and Mimi, it depicts my two daughters. They're actually Gigi and Mimi. And the book centers around, a mother, myself, that worked a lot and trying to explain it to her children.
You've also kind of given us a lovely synopsis about what the book is about, which we appreciate. So now I'm going to focus on exactly how your book could connect to the national curriculum here in the UK. As you know, Reading for Pleasure is a central focus for our national curriculum. We've got to, as teachers, also embed those skills of comprehension so that children can access books across a variety of genres. How does your book bring something to the classroom setting that will enable teachers to not only develop that reading for pleasure, but also to deepen reading for understanding?
That is an excellent question. Now, when I wrote this book, of course, I had my experience as a classroom teacher. And so as I was writing it, I definitely wanted to be a book that children could learn from and as well as enjoy. And so the book, it discusses vocabulary, it discusses a new vocabulary word such as entrepreneurship. And so I had the idea in mind that parents and educators could sit and introduce this word and this concept and this career to children, and explain what it was and explain why it was so important in the story. Also, I had the artists depict lovely and descriptive illustrations so that children could sit and look at the pictures. They can make predictions about what would happen next. They could infer what the character is feeling, what they're thinking. For example, if when you look at one of the pictures in the book and you see a character, making an emotional face, and it was in my mind that, parents would be sitting and they would ask their children, well, why do you think she feels that way? And what are your thoughts? And so, those are the central ideas I had in mind when I wrote the book. The book also discusses the concept of hard work and also the importance of family.
Thank you so much. And I think at this point, it's time for me to hand over to you so that you can share a reading of Mommy Works Too Much with us. Thank you.
So this is my book, Mommy Works Too Much. My name is Gigi, and I am 7 years old. I have a younger sister named Mimi. She is 4 and she goes to preschool. We live with our mom, our dad, and our big brother, Kenny. My mom works a lot. Sometimes she works day and night. We think that she works too much. We miss her so much when she is gone. But Daddy says she is an entrepreneur. That means she owns her own business. What's an entrepreneur, Mimi said. She's not an entrepreneur, silly. Mommy is an entrepreneur. Well, I'm going to be an entrepreneur too, said Mimi. She ran to Mommy's room to get her spare eyeglasses and some paper. She draped herself in Mommy's pearls and slipped into a pair of Mommy's high heels. See, I'm an entrepreneur too, Mimi yelled while prancing around the house. Our dog Charlie chased after her. Daddy finished his coffee and said, "Time to go to school, guys." We all jumped into Daddy's car. "Where's Mommy?" Mimi asked. "Mommy went to work, remember?" I said to Mimi. "Did Mommy go to her entrepreneur job?" Mimi asked. "No, I said. "Yes, Mimi," Daddy interrupted. "She went to her entrepreneur job." Daddy winked at me as he put on his hat. "Well, what does Mommy do at her entrepreneur job?" Mimi asked. That's a good question. I wasn't too sure myself. Daddy dropped my brother off to his high school. He dropped Mimi off to her preschool, but he always drops me off last. I didn't mind. Daddy and I sing songs or go over my spelling words in the car. We arrived at my school and I hopped out of the car. "Have a burpalicious day," Daddy said. "I will be the most burpalicious burple of the day," I said. I love this part of the day when I got to spend time with Daddy alone. When I sat down at my desk, I noticed a new assignment on the board. It said, "Parent essays are due tomorrow." I gulped and I stared at the board and I felt a knot forming in my stomach. I had not started my essay yet. I slowly raised my hand. Miss Parker walked to my desk. Miss Parker, I did not start my essay yet," I said. "I don't know what to write." "I thought you were going to write about your mom," Miss Parker asked. "I was going to. I just can't think of anything to write. Jasmine's mom is a teacher. Jordan's mom is a doctor. Ming's mom is a..." Okay, Miss Parker interrupted. "What does your mom do?" "My mom is an entrepreneur. I know she has her own business, but that's it." "So let's think about what your mom does on a typical day," Miss Parker said. And so we would love to know what Gigi's mom does, and you can find out in the rest of the story.
Thank you so much, Tiffany, for sharing your wonderful book with us. I especially really like the fact that we have got a Black family that's represented in a story, looking at a typical kind of, before school journey, what that looks like, that whole balance of support between mom and dad, so that dad is, more or less doing those non-traditional roles of dropping the children to school, checking on their day, encouraging them to have a good day while mom's busy setting up her business. It sounds very much like my household, to be honest. And yes, I do appreciate that interesting, diverse representation. Books like yourselves will certainly be a wonderful addition to any classroom that holds diverse representation as a positive thing when it comes to reading. So thank you so much for sharing that. Finally, can you just tell us where in the UK can your book be purchased, and your other books, of course?
Okay, so my children's book, Mommy Works Too Much, can be found on Amazon, amazon.co.uk. You'll also find my other books. I have a motivational book for women, the Bounce Back Mindset. I also have a how-to book. When I released my first book, it became an Amazon bestseller, and I received tons and tons of inquiries about how to write a book and questions on self-publishing. So I wrote a how-to. It's called Get Published. You also can find it on Amazon. And I also have a writing journal for all of the aspiring writers to help them get started on their writing journeys.
We look forward to hearing more about your books as your writing journey continues, Tiffany. And we will make sure that we place links for Mummy Works Too Much in this video. Thank you once again for joining ReadMaster for UK Teachers, home of the author's voice.
Thank you so much for having me.